You ever see a house so full of money and heartbreak that you swear the walls themselves are holding their breath? That's the Langford place, perched high on a rain-soaked hill, looking down at Edinburgh like it's daring anyone to climb up and see what sadness looks like up close. I'll tell you, it wasn't always that way. Once upon a time, that mansion was bursting with light and music and the kind of laughter that shakes windows. But then Emily died, bringing her sons into this world, and everything beautiful in that house turned cold. You could feel it the second you stepped through the door, like hope had packed its bags and left a note. Sorry, can't stay here anymore. Edward Langford, the king of tech and the kind of rich that makes people forget to look you in the eye, could buy anything but peace. His quadruplets, Oliver, Ethan, Liam, and Noah, turned 5 and became experts in driving out every soul who tried to help. 18 nannies in 5 months, I kid you not. Some running so fast they left shoes behind. The place that once echoed with piano keys was now all broken glass, splattered paint, and the low growl of a father losing himself a little more each morning. Then one November day, as the rain pounded the windows and the wind screamed around the chimney, came a knock. Not frantic, not weak. 3 sharp raps, like someone telling the storm to hush. The butler, Mr. Henderson, opens the door and finds Grace Morgan. Not what you'd expect for a nanny. Silver hair pulled back tight, worn wool coat, suitcase held together by string. Eyes so calm you'd think she'd walked through fire and made peace with it. She wasn't there to impress or beg, just stood in the doorway like she already belonged. No mistake, she said softly, and something in her voice made even Henderson pause. Edward came downstairs, half-dressed, ready to disappear into another day of pretending work mattered more than pain. But he couldn't look away from Grace. The boys appeared behind her. Oliver, arms crossed and glaring. Ethan clutching some homemade booby trap. Liam with a grin that promised trouble. Noah hanging back in the shadows. Grace kneeled, looked them all in the eye, and said, I know what it's like to lose the one who made your world make sense. Silence, for the first time in months. Even the rain seemed to listen. Noah's voice broke the quiet. You lost someone too? And with one gentle nod, Grace built a bridge over the moat of anger those boys had been hiding behind. Edward gave her 3 days. She asked for no pay, no promises, just a chance. She didn't boss anyone around, didn't start with rules. Just watched, waited, listened. She saw through every defense. Oliver, the commander, trying to run his brothers like soldiers so he wouldn't have to feel helpless. Ethan, the engineer, building little traps because if he could control the house, maybe he could control his loss. Liam, the destroyer, breaking things because at least then he was in charge of what fell apart. Noah, whispering to the mirror, talking to his dead mom because nobody else seemed to hear him. Grace just let them be, picking up broken pieces with care, sitting next to Noah and asking about his ghost chats, like it was the most natural thing in the world. That first night, she wrote in a battered notebook, every bad thing they do is just a way of screaming for someone to see their hurt. Edward, watching security footage, saw her gently write a tilted picture. Sweep up glass, never a word of blame. Maybe, he wondered, these boys don't need discipline. They need to be seen. On day 2, the boys launched Operation Make the Nanny Run. Water bucket over the door, marbles in the hall, a plastic spider in the living room. You know the drill. Grace walked straight into the chaos, got soaked to the bone, and laughed. Not a polite giggle, but a real, bright, from-the-gut laugh that stopped those boys in their tracks. She spun on the marbles like a dancer, bowed, took the spider, and whispered, even the things we fear just want a safe place. Instead of being angry, she set the little spider on the shelf next to Emily's photo. For the first time in ages, the house was quiet. Not the uneasy quiet of rage, but the breathless quiet of wonder. That night, the boys returned the bucket. No words needed. Good night, my 4 little conspirators, she smiled. Peace, so fragile and new, settled over the mansion. Next morning, Grace made bread. Not the fancy stuff from town, but lumpy dough, flour everywhere, kids watching with wide eyes. She didn't ask them to help, but curiosity is contagious. One by one, they joined her, each making their own loaf. Oliver, the strong crust. Ethan, the sweet roll. Liam, the dense loaf. Noah, hiding fruit in the middle. Perfection isn't about how alike they are, she told them. It's about the story each one carries. Edward came home to this, his sons laughing around a table, bread in their hands, grace in their hearts. She offered him a bite. Guess who made it? She teased, and for the first time in months, he felt warmth spread inside him. Grace wasn't staff anymore, and Edward said it plain. Stay, not as an employee, but as the one who keeps this family breathing. She agreed, on one condition. Don't call me Mrs. Morgan. Call me Grace. The house seemed to exhale. The storm outside broke, and the family began to heal. But you know how life works. Peace always gets tested. One day, a priceless vase shattered. The boys stood there, guilty. Grace didn't scold, didn't shout. Is anyone hurt? She asked, her voice soft. Next day, she took them to watch a potter shape clay. They learned patience, watched broken things become beautiful again. That night, they pieced the old vase back together, cracks shining in the lamplight. Stronger for being mended. Edward saw it and understood. What's broken can be remade. Maybe that was true for him, too. That night, in the hush of the living room, Edward asked why Grace understood. Lost so well. She finally shared her secret. 28 years ago, she had quadruplets of her own, raised them alone, lost them all in a car accident. Tried to follow them, failed. Until one night she saw Edward on TV, talking about his grief, and knew she had to come help. When we save someone, she whispered, sometimes we save ourselves, too. Two broken souls. Sitting in the golden light, not as boss and nanny, but as survivors teaching each other how to live again. Edward told the boys about Grace's sons. Noah asked, if your sons are in heaven and we're down here, can you be our mom here? Not a replacement, Grace said. Just someone who loves you too. The boys called her Aunt Grace. That spring, at Emily's memorial, the whole family, Edward, Grace, the boys, knelt together by the grave. Thank you, Mom, for sending Aunt Grace to us, they said, and as if in answer, sunlight broke through the clouds. A month later, a simple wedding in the garden, laughter everywhere, friends and family, and the Emily Langford Foundation blooming alongside the roses. A year after that, Grace and Edward welcomed a baby girl, Emily Grace. The boys planted their own flowers, roses, lavender, daisies, wildflowers, each one blooming where pain used to live. On a wooden bench, Grace and Edward sat watching their children play. Sunlight on their faces. From the darkest ashes, the brightest light is born. Now I'm not here to tell you life ties up every loose end. Grief leaves its mark. But if you stick around long enough, if you open your door to love, well, sometimes the person you're saving turns out to be yourself. So, what do you think? Does healing mean forgetting, or just daring to love again? Drop your thoughts below. Tell me, what would you have done in Edward's shoes? Do you believe broken families can truly be whole again? Let's talk about it.